Excited about the upcoming league start, but no idea what to do in the first week of the league? Don't worry, this video is for you. Hey, I'm Cyclone, and today I'm not only going to go over what I think are the best strategies to go for a league starting strategy, but also how you can determine yourself if a strategy is good for a league start strategy, which is actually what we're going to start with before we're going to get to some example strategies. I think to get a good league start strategy, it has to start with no investment. Just getting the Atlas tree basis and just working off that is really good. Then maybe add the map device, and as your character gets more powerful, you get better clear, stronger build, um, more single target, more tankiness. You can start adding scarabs to it. You can start adding sextants to it once you get void stones. You can get more Atlas passives. You can more specialize. You can go a bit diverse. As and as you get stronger, as you access to more stuff, the strategy grows with you and gets better in returns as well. With that said, let's take a look at the first strategy. But before that, sorry, very quick, one more thing. There aren't any trees out yet. It's not that I'm trying to bait you into thinking I have finished strategies. I'm going over strategies that we've known so far being really good and are very likely to still be good with the new Atlas tree and maybe even better because we're getting a lot more passives. So this video is going to be just this kind of idea of the tree, what scarabs, what sextants, what to focus on. But I will promise you that once we get the tree, you can see on my Discord the channel strats, where I already have placed the strategies just without the tree as like a compact variant. I'm going to add the trees there as soon as the tree is out so that it's finished. I just want to get the video out first because I don't think I have the time to make the full video, make the full trees from the frame that we get the trees till that the league starts. So video now, trees as soon as we get the new Atlas passive tree. Alright, now really, let's take a look at the first thing, which is bossing. Bossing is huge, especially week 1. I've been doing bossing for the past few leagues in the beginning, and every league I haven't done it in the beginning, I have been regretting it. It's something I feel comfortable with, and if you are comfortable with bossing, if you know how bosses work, and you're good at bossing, it's very, very powerful. Now, it does require a build like Eye of Winter Miner or Poison Seismic Trap, which has a really high power level, and then either being one-shotting to bosses or being I'm doing enough damage to kill them and being tanky enough to survive the duration it takes me to kill them, or it's going to be a bit harder on the end. Now, there are other builds that are going to work for bossing, but I think those two are prime examples for top tier bossing builds. And by the way, if you're still looking for a league starter build, check the info card above me. Sorry, enough about that. Let's continue with this. Bossing really strong, needs a good build. It doesn't really need any investment on the passive tree. And there are different ways to boss. You can say, okay, I'm just going to focus on a specific boss. I'm going to target Maven. I'm going to keep running Maven invitations, and eventually I'm going to get to Uber Maven invitations. And then on top of that, you could start doing a bossing service. So there are different ways for bossing service. There are Voidstone services where I'm always run Maven and people message me they need a Maven Voidstone. So you invite them, they join your Maven's arena. Before you kill Maven, they get the Voidstone, you get a bit of chaos, and you still keep your Maven loot. Or there is a bossing service in this case of, hey, I'm starting this invitation, can you kill everything in there? So you go with them, they start invitation, you kill their invitation, they get the loot, you get a big sum of currency. That's still perfect. Or you could do the way that I really enjoy running invitations. You take an invitation, for example, the Conqueror invitation. You run the 4 Conquerors, you run the invitation, then you run a Cyrus, and then once you have a Maven Grid, you run the Maven's Grid, and you get all the rewards from everything combined and still go out with a massive profit. Like, stuff you can get from there are um, liquefied crafting currency. For example, Awakener Orbs, Orb of Conflict, or what was its name, Orb of Domination, the highest tier of Eldritch Ichor or Eldritch Ember. Just a lot of potential currency there, which is getting on a high demand starting day 3 and onwards as people start crafting stuff, as people looking for good items. And before that, you have a lot of high valuable and even low valuable uniques that are on a very high demand. For example, Cyrus, Crown of the Inward Eye. I've been selling for up to 2 exalts on the second day of a league. It's just insane prices you can get for them because the people that want their strategy very early on and need a powerful build go for you to get those uniques for a high profit, or well, a high what was the word? A high extra price basically, just because they are the first, you are the first, one of the first few who put them on the market. And then there comes Awakened Gems. Awakened Gems sell for a very, very high premium. Premium, that was the word. Um, for example, 2 leagues or 3 leagues ago, everybody was hyped about Explosive Arrow Ballista. And I was bossing, and one of the first Awakened Gems I got dropped was a Deadly Ailment, an Awakened one. And I was able to sell that for 5 Divines. Normally, that is like at most 1 Divine, and mostly just a few Chaos, but I was able to sell it for quite a lot. And that's for almost any Awakened Gem early on. They sell for a Divine or more, which is absolutely crazy, because there's just such a high demand for them, but nobody's supplying them yet. So you can be the one supplying and make a huge profit while doing that. But that's enough about bossing. Let's take a look at heisting. Heisting is very specific. You need to enjoy it to run that, but it is definitely a very good potential profit. Early on, you can do infinite heisting by just resetting your level, resetting the vendor, and then just keep running heists, stacking up blueprint reveals. Once you have enough, you can start buying blueprints. You run the blueprints, you get so many heist spaces, replica uniques, old quality gems, just absorb. But until you get there, you just have to do with all the chaos recipe you're getting, or the very interesting careers you can maybe on ID, the random uniques, or random deviation cards, or random currency you get dropped. Just on any stage of the game, very powerful, and especially so on Leaguestart. Best for this would be a very fast build, because you just want to be the only thing slowing you down being the doors. You need some knowledge about the heist, but here's the good thing. Heist is a known strategy. There are so many guides on YouTube you can look up. And so it gives you all the information you need to have a really good heist Leaguestart. And you do need to gear your rogues once you want to get into blueprint farming to get maximum efficiency. But it isn't that complicated. You just need to enjoy heist, get the information, and you're good to go. Now getting finally to the mapping strategies that require the new atlas. Like, really rely on how the new atlas is structured to see how good they are. One thing is Blight into Blighted maps into Blight Ravaged maps. Blight has been a really powerful strategy, be it just running maps very quickly, selling Blighted maps, or running the Blighted maps, or AFK running the Blighted maps, and eventually AFK running Blight Ravaged maps. Just a very powerful strategy. You can use the oils drop 1 tier higher sextant for the Blight in map, and I don't even know if it works for the Blight in map. If it does, it would make it even more insane. There was a passive node that says when you kill a boss in a Blight, he drops anointed jewelry, which you can use an oil extractor to maybe potentially get a golden oil or silver oil. Early on, oils sell for a lot because, like Awakened Gems, like the uniques from bosses, people are on a high demand on these oils. There's a very high demand there because everybody wants the anointment. It's basically a free passive point, and it's very powerful because you don't even need to be connected to it. So people are always looking for oils, always looking for getting the anointment, and you can be the supplier. You can be one of the first supplying. It's just going to be very powerful. And on top of that, there's just so many generic rewards: fragments, currency, stack decks, divination cards, random rares, random jewelry, so you can even do chaos recipe. Just Blight is a very powerful strategy that you can target farm in any way you like, be it the Blighted maps, be it supplying the Blighted maps, just very powerful. But enough about Blight. The next 3 strategies are actually scalable. You can start with the first one and end on the third, and they are almost seamless transitioning with just a bit of respecking. And they are really good for mapping characters that just do fast mapping, good damage, good clear, starting with Harbinger Essence. Now for this, you don't need that much clear, you just need to be able to kill rares. Rares are currently a joker in my opinion. A lot of people think that the rares are going to be super weak because they're 2 to 4 mods, which are now boiled down. But I think because it's now not the Arch-Nemesis modifier, but normal modifiers just randomly shuffled together, they said they are buffing secondary mods, and I think these mods are maybe overtuned in the beginning. If they're overtuned, it's going to be like the not I think it was Sentinel League, the league after Archnemesis League, where now every Archnemesis was overpowered. There might be something like that for the first week, but if your character's strong enough, or if that's not the case, Harbinger Essence is definitely going to be good. You could use a Voidstone with the bosses are guarded by a Harbinger, but just the Atlas is currently providing, and I assume is still going to provide, one Harbinger and one Essence per map, and with that, you're set for rushing through the early maps. You're going to get from tier 1 to T16 very easily, because the essences are going to help you craft your gear or sell to get good gear on the market, or get other crafting material for your gear. But you get the Harbinger, they drop Regal shards, Alteration shards, Chaos shards, Harbinger shards, and Horizon shards, so you can craft your gear, you can horizon your maps for map completion, and you can use a Harbinger Orb to upgrade your maps for to getting through higher tiers. Just really good for progressing the early Atlas. And once you're in high tier maps, you could maybe drop Essence, keep the Harbinger, or you could just run the next thing, which is Legion. I think at this point everybody knows Legion is good, but especially early on Legion is absurd. Now the reason for that is 5-ray runners are always there. The moment we are getting people are getting into high tier maps, there's going to be somebody who got a headhunter dropped, and there's going to be a person who wants to run 5-rays, who wants to host 5-rays, that's going to be able to afford the headhunter very early, and then he's just going to snowball with hosting 5-rays. But for that, he needs a supplier, and you can be that supplier by just focusing on Legion from the very early beginning, selling those emblems to those 5-ray runners, and you could even add Breach on top to sell Chayula Splinters to people who are looking to upgrade them with It That Falls from Betrayal in research, or that just want Chayula rotations to get the XP. Just really good strategy. Now, to start it off, you will just go with Rusted Legion Scarabs and maybe the Legion Sextant, and once you get more comfortable, you get stronger, you get more passive points on the tree, you can invest more in Legion. You could upgrade to a polished Legion Scarab to get additional strongbox. You could also add, once you're very powerful, the double splinters for Legion, so that you are now dropping double splinters and double emblems. And to add even further, you can at some point get a Gilded Legion Scarab, then you could start adding Gilded Breach, and you could get the Chayula Breach Sextant. Now every breach in your map is going to be a Chayula, so you get the Chayula Breach Stones. And on the fourth Void Stone, you could add an additional Breach. So then you have like 4 to 5 breaches, depending on how the Atlas is, maybe even more. Just going to be very powerful. And don't forget, there's also Breach on the map device to make it even more juicier to add Breach to the strategy. Just really, really good, really, really fast, easy currency if you have a strong mapper. Going into the final strategy, which I think is the best one, but it also requires the strongest builds. Delirium mapping, different variants. You could be Delirium Mirror, you could be Delirium Orb, you could be Delirium Orb but Ambush Scarab, so strong boxes. Just very, very, very much potential profit, but you need a strong build to be able to run them. For example, let's say you want Delirium Mirror. Let's say we're going Strand, which is a really good map for Delirium Mirror. You're going to be running Breach, you're going to be running Legion, you're going to be running Harbinger potentially, you're going to use the Sextant Delirium boss fills faster, and then additional League content, and just run through stands. Need a very fast, very good build. You need to be able to tank because it's scaled from 0 all the way to 100% Delirium. And you're going to get a lot of Simulacrum Splinters, you're going to get a lot of Cluster Jewels, you're going to get Delirium Orbs, which then goes into the next strategy. You could use Delirium Orbs, preferable Skittering, you're going to get a lot of Scarabs which you can sell, you're going to get a lot of Cluster Jewels again, you're going to get a lot of generic rewards from the Delirium tiles. It's just a lot of potential profit there. In terms of, I think for the Delirium Orb mapping currently, the best outlook we have is saying you're going to go with Abyss, Harbinger, Legion, Breach on an open layout, or you're going on a closed layout with Harbinger, Abyss, Ambush, and then saying you're going on a specific open closed layout with a Divination card and use Divination Scarab on top, and then maybe you could do Apothecary farming in Crimson Temple, Or you could do Colonnade farming for the Nurse diff card, if Colonnade's still there, but I think they moved the Nurse again, so that might not be a thing anymore. But there's a lot of potential. Just find the right Divination card and use Ambush Scarabs to farm Divination cards, or stay on the open layout and just farm Legion and Breach and Abyss and Harbinger and have a lot of fun and fast mapping. Anyway, that much for the strategies. Just one last thing before you go. Keep an eye on Forbidden Sanctum. There isn't any confirmation about it yet. It has potential. The Sanctified Relics aside, which are very, very powerful and very, very good, they aren't tradable, so they aren't direct profit. But if the Forbidden Sanctum can supply those powerful relics for you to upgrade your build or transition to the next possible build, and on the other hand, maybe drop a lot of currency. We saw a room with 18 chaos at the end of the run, so if your build is strong enough and you can rush it very quickly, imagine getting 4 of those rooms. That's 100 chaos, it's 32 maps, so let's say 8 room, let's say you take about 20 seconds per room, that's 32 times 20, that's 600, 640 seconds, which is 5 to 6 minutes overall. Like, again, all potential, all theory. But if that's the case, like 5 minutes for 100C is a pretty good rate, assuming that you are mostly just string through rooms, and there can even be more again. So keep an eye on this. It has potential. Just don't be, yeah, I'm definitely going that, and all the other, this is going to be the best thing. Just consider that this might be good. Alright, enough said. Have a wonderful day and hopefully a really amazing league start. Goodbye.